let's talk about the mayor of New York City. Lots of very raw feelings today. Even as both Donald Trump and the mayor-elect have had some moments of conciliation towards each other. A lot of negativity I've heard from both regular folks, everyday Americans, but also um, from from some Republican officials and some Democrats who are concerned about Mr. Mamdani's election night speech and some of the other things he said since then. At the same time, Jamie Dimon, Bill Ackman, others have reached out. And of course, most politicians, not all in the Democratic Party, have accepted his victory and support him. Jim Kennedy, tell everybody where they can read your Substack, what you wrote, and how you feel things are shaping up, given your concerns.
Well, I think both parties have a personality problem. Republicans are asking, what are we going to do without Donald Trump? And Democrats are asking, what are we going to do with Zoran Mamdani? Because he poses some risk of becoming the Jeremy Corbyn of American politics. And we saw what happened to the Labour Party in the UK with Corbyn's extremist policies. And if that gets translated into reality here in America, that's going to be a problem for the Democratic Party. And certainly that's what Republicans are going to try to do, is to kind of make Democrats, Mamdani Democrats. So I'm of an age when we were accused of being McGovern Democrats, which used to be a dirty phrase back then, even though he inspired me to get into politics. So I think they're going to try to do the same thing in the 2020s with Mamdani.
Tell everybody about your Substack. Where can they read it?
It's called Kennedy Can'ts. And it's on Substack, and the latest one is called Havana on the Hudson, which is what I fear will happen if Mamdani executes his policies. He may not be able to accomplish what he wants to do, but if he does, it's going to be a socialist nightmare, not a socialist dream.
Beverly, what are your thoughts about kind of the darker strands of those reacting the way some are, like Jim, deep concerns, versus those who say, well, let's give him a try? Give him a chance.
I think there's a reason for deep concern based on his policies. And I did think that his acceptance speech was the most interesting, because prior to the election, even about a week or two before, and I know was on this program talking about it, he seemed to be more conciliatory towards Trump voters, or at least voters who wouldn't support him. He wasn't insulting them in the same way. And then once he won, he came out guns a-blazing with his own policies in that speech. So it seemed that some of the moderating he had been doing went away, which then points to he is not going to hold back as mayor. And so for Democrats, that does bring up a concern, which is where does that leave the middle road, the moderate Democrat, in comparison to a socialist? And for Republicans, I think the hope would be, while you don't want New York to go the way of socialism, you hope that this experiment points out why it doesn't work, and that it actually will be something that Republicans will run against in midterms next year if there's enough proof at that point that this is not the way that you help people. There is no such thing as free, and these policies don't work.
Yeah, Jim, was the Democratic nominee. He's now been elected by a majority of the people of a very democratic city. And I've been struck by the relative silence, not of everybody in the party, but a lot of people who, privately are concerned not just about the politics of this for the party, as you said, but are concerned about his positions, not just on socialist economics, but on Israel and Gaza. I was thinking today, when I was knowing you were coming on, what would Joe Lieberman be saying at this point, and how different would that be from what we're hearing from a lot of Democrats who, again, you and I know are not happy with this, but somebody like Bill Clinton, who you also worked for, in addition to working for Senator Lieberman. Bill Clinton has praised Mamdani and been supportive, when I just know he certainly would have at least some reservations. So how do you feel about the absence of someone like what I believe Senator Lieberman would be saying?
I'm confident Joe Lieberman would have spoken out about Mamdani's policies, both his economic policies as well as his position on Israel. His son has carried forth that legacy and has spoken out about it. And people like Tom Suozzi and Josh Gottheimer, I worked with Josh in the White House. They're members of Congress, and they've been vocal about it. But you're right, there aren't that many speaking like that. And I think once he begins to govern, you may see more of that happening, because I do think it's a concern. We don't want to get branded with those kind of policies. So I do hope, if he does try to carry them out, that there's more outspokenness on the part of the Democrats. In the 90s, we had the DLC was formed in order to kind of react to the liberal policies of the 80s. That was very effective in bringing Bill Clinton to the White House. I don't know if we're going to be able to marshal that kind of effort in this era or not, but it may become necessary if we're going to win the White House again.
Beverly, Kristen Davison on Next Up said she was concerned that Republicans not overplay this and just talk about Mamdani to the exclusion of other things. How do you feel about that? Is this something where regular voters may not care nearly as much as Mike Johnson and Donald Trump seem to think they will?
I think it's chalked up to it's New York City for the rest of America, and that's what they look at it as. Now, the narrative that I've been seeing talked about a lot, Twitter, there's been a lot of action on this side, and that was looking at the women vote, the female vote from Mamdani, which I think it was 92% of women ages 24 to 39 or somewhere in that range. And so there's been a huge discussion among Republicans about the female vote. They've gone for the male vote for during the Trump years, and how are they going to win back the women? So that is where I see the Republicans going back and forth the most on what is that messaging moving forward.
Interesting. Our friends at Cozy Earth are having a crazy sale. Like if you're from New York City and you're familiar with Crazy Eddie, prices so low, they're crazy. 40% off on all Cozy Earth products site-wide using the promo code two-way. Go to cozyearth.com, promo code two-way. Black Friday comes early to those who want blankets, towels, shirts, pants, anything they sell on the Cozy Earth site right now. Viscose made from bamboo, extraordinarily comfortable, temperature regulating. This includes, you might think, well, surely the bubble cuddle blanket is not 40% off. That'd be crazy for them to make that 40% off. Yes, even the bubble cuddle blanket, 40% off. My towel's on order, looking for them to arrive, but I got everything else. I recommend you go right now to cozyearth.com, promo code two-way for 40% off site-wide. This sale will not last forever. So if you got to do some holiday shopping for folks, I recommend you go now. Wrap the ones you love in luxury with Cozy Earth, cozyearth.com, promo code two-way.
They say that something that's easy is like a walk in the park. Well, easier than a walk in the park, hit the subscribe button, be part of the two-way community, never miss an episode, be part of our conversations. Thank you for your service to America.
And don't forget, you can now listen to the morning meeting and two-way tonight on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.